Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for Return to Neverland. So this is a 2002 sequel to the original 1953 Peter Pan movie from Disney, and it was originally supposed to be a direct-to-video sequel, but they decided to go ahead and release it in theaters for some reason, and so it got a theatrical release instead. And in this movie, Wendy is all grown up and has kids of her own, and during World War II, her husband is in the war, and her kids are about to have to go stay in the countryside while the war is going on, and her daughter Jane doesn't believe in Peter Pan or anything, and she ends up getting kidnapped by Captain Hook, who takes her to Neverland, and she's so traumatized by the war and stuff, she doesn't want to believe that she's actually in Neverland. She just wants to find a way to get home to her mom and her little brother and stuff, because of the way the world is. She doesn't believe in the world of Neverland and being with the Lost Boys and all that, so she has to figure out a way to get home. And as the story goes on, Peter helps her discover the inner child that's been buried in her all these years due to the trauma of war. This is a really, really great movie. It's one of my favorite Disney sequels of all time, if not my favorite Disney sequel. It probably is. I absolutely love this movie. I have ever since I was a kid. I saw it in the theaters twice when it first came out, and also due to this movie, I met one of my best friends, Sarah. If you're watching this video is for you. I met her when I was playing with my toys from this movie that I got from McDonald's at school, and I was playing with them by the swing set. She came over and wanted to play too, and we became best friends and everything, and we've been good friends ever since and everything. We're like brother and sister now, and this movie also kind of has a special place in my heart because of that too. But it is a really legit good sequel though, and it has a really good story. It's pretty dark too, especially that beginning scene where there's a scene where Jane is running through the streets of London trying to get back to her mom and brother and stuff. She's getting him a birthday present, and the war, you see all the stuff going on with the war and everything. You don't really see like the bombs, but you hear them falling and you know what's going on. You see the damages and stuff of damaged buildings and all that, and it's really kind of dark, but it's just really well done. And then when you get to Neverland and stuff, it's just a really fun story of Jane learning how to be a kid again and stuff, but it does a good job at showing like how war affected young people back then and stuff, like kind of like with Empire of the Sun, except this one is a lot more lighthearted. That movie was just really depressing, but this one is. When I watched Empire of the Sun, I kept thinking this is a lot like the way Jane was acting at the beginning of Return to Neverland. But I really like Jane. I always have thought she was a really likable character and everything. I personally think I like her more than Wendy, although I did like Wendy a lot too. And I think that Peter and the Lost Boys are a lot more fun in this movie. They're a little bit better written and everything, especially Peter. I think he's not as much of a goofball and stuff. He plays around and stuff, but he also is a really good friend to Jane and stuff. I like that about it and stuff. And I think the animation holds up really well too. For being a movie that was made by the same studio that does most of those direct-to-video Disney movies, the animation looks pretty good. I think that's one of the reasons it got a theatrical release. But it looks pretty good. It's I know, like I said, it holds up pretty well, and I love the soundtrack to this movie. The soundtrack to the movie was the very first CD I ever bought when I was a kid, and I've always loved the music in here too, especially the score. It's done by Joe McNeely, and I think he did a pretty good job with the score for it. But there's some pretty good songs in here too, especially the song "I'll Try," which kind of plays during the scenes when Jane is sad and stuff. I just really like that song. Jesse McCartney did a cover version of it on one of the Disney Mania CDs, and I love his version too. But it's just a really fun movie. It is more aimed at younger audiences. I was the perfect age when this movie came out and everything. I think nostalgia does play a huge part in why I love this one as much as I do. But I really do enjoy this one. I think it's a really fun movie, and it's hard to believe that it's 20 years already since this movie came out, because this was a really like one of my favorite movies that year when it came out. I don't know if I had it in my top 10 still nowadays, but back then it would have been in my top 5. Probably for sure in the top 5. But yeah, this is a really fun movie. It's and it's very entertaining. If you're a fan of the first one, it's worth checking out. It does kind of rehash some things. There are things about it I don't like that kind of just aren't as good nowadays, like the stuff with the octopus. They kind of brought an octopus in to take over the crocodile's role. And I was like, why don't you just bring back the crocodile? They never really explained how Captain Hook defeated the crocodile at the end of the first one, so like they could have found a way to either bring him back or at least mention what happened with him. I know they did mention the crocodile, but I don't think they said what happened to him. But the octopus thing, it was silly and stuff, but it doesn't really bother me too much. But they kind of rehashed that a little bit, but unlike most of the Disney direct-to-video movie sequels and stuff where they just completely rehash the movie again and everything, this one tries to do it a little bit differently, and I think it worked better than most of them did, and I really enjoyed this movie. So I'd say I'd give Return to Neverland an 8 out of 10. I absolutely love this movie. To me, it's just a really great one, and a part of it also is, like I said, nostalgia and personal reasons. This movie's just always been one I've always really loved and everything. So, but anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Return to Neverland, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.